So we come back down over here real quick and just take a look at our listing that we started with. Subcategory had 2 distinct values. That's very good. And then it goes into product, which has more distinct values. That's right. That's what we typically want to see in a report. So very best practice over there. And then I said that numbers always go into values. So just come over here. And some of you might notice I accidentally stuck subcategory over there into values. So let me bring that up. There we go. So there we go into column groups. So now we've got our row and our columns. And now just over here on our next step, we go to values. And what I want you to do now is under values, we want to go ahead and we want to bring down sales and quantity. So there's sales and there's quantity. So those are going to be the things, as we can see, summarized by these different groups. So these values are the numerical figures that get what's known as aggregated, which means summarized. The row groups are the drill down that we do along the rows, and the column groups are the things that we do along the column headers. Let's see that in action. So I'm going to click next right over here. Now I'm going to choose to keep the blocked subtitle below, which you almost always choose. Then expand collapse groups to give users the ability to be able to do drill down and drill up and things like that. Then I'm going to choose a different one of these styles, this time slate. So I'm going to use slate as my actual style. And then I'm going to click finish. Now, once I'm done with that, just to preview this, I'm going to click run. And right off the bat, notice over here what we've actually got now. Okay, so we carefully actually picked our values, right? We started with territory and for row groups, and there's territory along the row. Now, by saying a row group, I said that whenever you do a row group, it's going to expand inside of a vertical fashion. So I click territory, and there's my vertical expansion right over there into sales date, and we can all see that. So there's sales date right over there, which was the second group. Now, whenever we've got a column, though, what we do is we expand inside of a horizontal fashion. So when I click accessories, and now I get horizontal expanding in the actual report. And you can see there, those are the values, carrying case, whatever else, lens adapter, tripod, and then, of course, the ones that group under digital right over there. And you see what's happened is that we've bought a bunch of real estate. We haven't, if we had included accessories in row groups and products in row groups, we would have been going boom, boom, boom. And I mean, it would have became a really long report over here. But instead, by being able to combine the columns, just like you do with the pivot table, and the groups, and the row groups, essentially, we were able to get this more compact fashion. This is not just a best practice in the Microsoft world. This is a best practice in the reporting world in general to be able to do this. So please keep that in mind because this is overwhelming. Now, here's our matrix report over here. You guys will see this in many other different types of systems. But remember the best practices. You use them for the top columns, 5 to 8. 5 to 8 should be the maximum. Usually less than 5 if you can. For the bottom, that's where you can have more groups. But remember, you begin to increase the number of rows. So what you're really doing is you're trying to design your columns and your rows inside such a way where you give your users the least amount of real estate needed to get the message. Here I can see that for accessories, inside of the central territory, I had total sales of 35078. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. That was one row that took that for me. That was all it took for me to see that was just one row. In central accessories, bam, I had that. If I had put accessories down here, I would have had 2 rows where I would have had to group it like that and then keep going down. So very, very handy as far as on compacting. Okay, now we got things compacted over here. We're starting to rock, but the matrix data type is a lot more important than that. It gives you the ability to be able to add even more groups, right? And begin to get this increasing fashion or this increasing summary sort of thing going on where you can actually continue to pack more and more and more into that real estate without really using significantly more space. Let's see what we're talking about. So I'm going to come back to design over here just for a moment, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some style. Okay, now just like we did the other day, styling is going to be mainly a function of being able to essentially do some formatting. So let's do some formatting right now and see how it's done. Okay, coming back, I'm going to come over here to sum sales right over there, and I'm going to highlight all 3 of those different rows. Then I'm going to hold down on control and find all cases of sum sales. Now you might be like, why do we have multiple different cases of sum sales? Because remember, we have column groups and we have row groups, right? So column groups and row groups are both in here. So that's why we have to make sure using control and just clicking on your mouse, left click, left click, left click until you get all sum sales clicked on. That's why we have to make sure that we format some cells for all different groups. So you can see over here, we're going to have some cells right over here, right, for some for one group in subcategory. Then we're going to have some cells again for another group in subcategory, right? And then we're going to have some cells again for another group coming over there in subcategory. So we can all see that right at the moment. 1, 2, 3 different groups right over here. Okay, so that's the reason why it tells us that. Very, very intelligent. It matches the quantity to the number of unique groups. Okay, we all got that down. All right, now, what we're going to do over here next is once we finish getting all that down, let's just do a number format over here, or a currency format. So we're going to come back to our numbers over here. We're going to come back into our numbers group, or what's known as the numbers group, right over there. And then inside of our number group, what we're going to do is we're going to click on currency. There. That just gave us currency formatting over there. And if we want to check it to see what kind of formatting, we click on the placeholder, which is this little thing over here that's turning yellow, where my mouse is moving in the lower right corner, and we click on the placeholder, and then we can see, okay, there's currency. It's going to have 2 places, and it's going to appear just like this. Perfect. All right, got that down. Let's click OK. All right, so now we're saying, okay, great. We just finished formatting our numbers over there, right? Now, the other thing, too, is just like we did yesterday or in my previous tutorial, we need to also go ahead and actually change the sales date to basically just have a clean date and not the regular ugly date and time. So what I do over here is I come down and I find the sales date value right over here. So there's sales date right over here. There was only one case of that, right? And that's because that's a row group, whereas before we had numerical values, so they repeat it for every single group. Now, once we're on sales date over here, right, we've got 2 different choices. We can come over here and click this, or we could just right-click on it and click the properties. But we're going to do it this way. Instead of just right-clicking and clicking text box properties, we'll click on the placeholder in the corner. No way is better than the other way. It's just whatever your preference is. And I'm going to come back now and change it to date. And then over there, there's my date, and I'll leave it at this format with the slash, like the 1/31st, 2000. And I'm going to hit OK. Excellent. Now I'm starting to kick. Let me click run again. Looking good, looking good, looking good. Look at that. Clean values. There's my currency. Those are my clean dates. Those are my groups right over here, right? And you guys can see those are sales for the accessories group. Those are sales for the digital group. So right off the bat, you guys see what I mean whenever I say that. Our numerical aggregated columns repeat for every single distinct value inside of the actual top column group. And you can see that. Bam, bam. Accessories, when I expand it out over there, you can see over here that carrying case, there we go. You can see lens adapter, and you can see that we begin to repeat values. But here's the real benefit of a matrix, though. Pivot tables do that too. The real value is all of this extra information contained in this little bitty amount of space over here, so that we can print it out on one page and still give an idea, or we can play around with it and look at that. Boom, we begin to expand out the real estate. Boom, we begin to expand out the real estate. Boom, boom. So we've got a dynamic ability to be able to essentially control our look and feel depending upon how much real estate we want to the left or to the right. Excellent. Okay, so now you're starting to rock, right? You're starting to get this matrix concept down, and you're looking at it and you're wondering like, wow, look at that. So I can do column level drilling, and I can do row level drilling, and that they combine, and that column level drilling is going to give me horizontal expansion. Row gives me vertical expansion down a page, right? Column level across, row is going to be from top to bottom. Okay, excellent. Now what we're going to do, though, is we're going to add a little bit more to this, okay? Let's see if we add a group to the right in this particular case. So let's say that we look at this. We're looking, and we decide that, you know what, I need another group that's going to appear. Maybe some sort of group that groups it by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, instead of showing, 104 or something like that, for example. And I want to add this other group over here, but how do I mess with this, and how do I get this group to actually appear without messing up the real estate? Now, let me tell you guys, a word of advice right now is a little bit of a warning, okay? And this is a true story. The number one way that people mess up the matrix is that they forget to expand the columns as groups, and they try to do a new column. So here's what they do. They come over here, innocently enough, right-click over there, right? And then they do an insert column to the left or to the right. Don't do that there. If you do that, there's very good reasons why you do it, but the reason why they usually do it is because what they're missing is they need to actually insert a group. Otherwise, this will break their stuff over here, and it inserts a column, and then they have to go in and do this little special fix thing over here where they go into advanced mode and start fixing stuff. Just ignore that for now. As a best practice, guys, or not a best practice, as the only practice really, when you want to go ahead and you want to add your columns to be dynamically expanding and whatever else, you right-click on the cell that contains the group and you click Add Group. Okay, so anyway, you click Add Group, right? And you add it that sort of way. So what we're going to do is, seeing this best practice, thank goodness they put this in the tutorial, we're going to click on subcategory, because what we want is we want to have a group now that's going to be adjacent to subcategory. And let me show you what that means. So I'm going to right-click on this cell, come down to Add Group, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose Adjacent Right. Yes, that's how you do it, not add the new column. Adjacent Right will add the new column for you, but it'll add it within what's known as a grouping scope, meaning that it's going to respect the expand and the collapse. So I go Adjacent Right. There we go. And then once we go with Group By, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to choose Sales Date. There we go. So there's Sales Date right over there. Okay, now once we've got Sales Date over here, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come down and I'm going to click OK. And now look at this. See this little line over here? This little line right over there. Just, you guys, I just highlighted the column, but you see these little gray lines? Those mean the scope of a group. So whatever's in here is included within this group. So like for example, in subcategory, we've got product. We've got product over here included, right? The product little group. And then we've got the sales table and the quantity table right over there. And we can see over here how it kind of, what's going to happen is it's going to repeat for every single unique case of sales, or of subcategory and of product. Now over here we've got the sales date, and sales date has nothing in it yet, right? So it's not going to be repeating at all.